I had this newfound power where I was like, oh my gosh, it doesn't have to be this way in the future. I don't have to go through hating my body, or hating my results or beating myself up anymore. I don't have to
Yeah.
do that anymore.
Hmm.
I could really just move forward and keep creating. And if I mess up, just get back on the saddle and keep going. Like there didn't have to be any drama anymore about it.
Well, and that's really interesting because it's almost like our subconscious is, if it were a person, it's in the room with us arguing constantly.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome to the Soul Not Skin podcast, a virtual living room, a safe, welcoming place to land where you can pull up a chair and share stories straight from the heart. I'm your host, Jen SluMac, or as my students like to call me, Miss Jen. We talk about the real human experience, the hard stuff, the wonderful stuff, and the messy, everyday growth that shapes who we become. Real stories, real people, real insight, becoming who we are. Settle in, and let's dive into today's episode. I am very excited today to share with you a woman that I met some time ago, many years back, and we've been sort of on and off distance in touch through the years, and both of us have had quite a journey during that time. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing where we're at today. What I can tell you is that Kristin Crockett is a CEO and founder of Courageous Destiny. She has triplets. I remember when that happened. And she's a change maker who believes in creating impact through authenticity and through love, which that's my jam. So I'm going to invite you, Kristin, to introduce yourself. And if you would, just tell us a little about your journey that has brought you to where you are today and why you do what you do.
I would love to. First of all, Jen, thank you so much for having me on your show. This is so fun. When we met, back in our 20s, who knew that we would have podcasts?
Someone's out there doing the math now.
That's true.
Right? Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
But, it's interesting. When I had triplets is really where a lot of my journey began because things in life were pretty easy. I mean, I had a really great career. I was in sales. My marriage was doing really well. And then we got pregnant with triplets. And, it's really interesting that would be my first, my first time really being not just pushed, but catapulted outside of my comfort zone. Mm-hmm. But a lot of things changed after we had triplets. A lot of the ways that you can cope when you're not in your when you're in your comfort zone, and then trying to find time for yourself and navigate a relationship and all the things once you have triplets is an interesting thing for sure.
Well, a new baby is enough, right? But 3 at once?
Yes.
That's a lot, Mom. That's a lot.
And I was the mom that worked, so here I was, we had triplets. I'm like, okay, this is great. I'll take 3 months off for maternity leave and then I'll be back to work and everything will be great. And then what happened wasn't exactly that. I could have used 3 years, not 3 months. And I didn't have the opportunity not to go back to work. So I went back to work and I would say that I was in what I called my 1, 2, 3 days, where everything was 1, 2, 3, change the diaper, 1, 2, 3, feed the baby, 1, 2, 3.
Oh, I see.
Right? Everything was like, had to be done quickly and efficiently, we just had to have a, I can't remember what operations for everything. There had to be a strategy for everything.
Everything you did, you had to do thrice.
Exactly. Okay. I remember it was funny because I remember having some friends of ours over. People would come over because we couldn't really go anywhere. So people would come over And I remember making the bottles, and we had 48 Dr. Brown bottles, and then we would make the bottles, and then we had another 48 that we would wash the bottles. So we would make the bottles, and then we would wash the bottles, and we made these big, huge things full of SluMac, and it was crazy, but it was like we were talking the whole time like this was a normal thing to be done, like have this incredible, dairy factory going on right inside of your home.
You
And
had
so
48 bottles?
48.
Nice.
Yes, because they had 8 bottles a day times 3.
Oh, my Lord.
We wanted to get about 2 days worth of bottles in, and then we had to have enough bottles so that we could change them out so that we weren't making bottles all the time. So it was just, it was different. It wasn't like you could sit with each one of the babies and look at their beautiful faces and see their reactions and their cooing and like have this experience that I hear about some moms having. I didn't have that. I had 1, 2, 3. I don't regret it. I love my kids. I'm grateful every day for my kids. And when they were 5 years old, I had an awakening because the 1, 2, 3 had stopped. They had turned into these little people. They were out of diapers, and I didn't know who the heck I was anymore. I had no idea who the heck I was anymore. And I knew that I had been drinking too much. I knew that I was very unhappy in my job. Once an incredible salesperson, loved it, had so much fun doing it. I became very resentful because all I wanted to do was be at home with my babies and my children at that point. And dare I say, I don't know, have a nap. And I just never had any of that.
Nap? You
I
wanted to have
know,
a
right?
nap? Come on.
I wanted a nap.
Sister needs some sleep.
I needed some sleep.
Oh.
And I remember I was quite a bit overweight at the time, but it wasn't just the extra weight. It was, I had high blood pressure. I was high anxiety. I was on Prozac. I was drinking too much. I was all the things that, I was trying to do to feel better, and I wasn't feeling any better. And so I had a friend of mine, and she's like, and I complained to her. I complained to her about everything. And she was one of those people you don't complain to because, man, that woman had her stuff together. She was somebody I really looked up to. She was a handy woman. She had her airplane license. She was a yoga instructor. She had, like all the things. And I was complaining to her, and she said, my brother's a coach. Maybe you should meet him. And I was really ticked off that she would even insinuated that I would need such a thing.
Like a life coach?
Yeah, like a life coach. I was like, who needs that? I don't know.
Or you could just listen. I just need someone to listen.
Yeah, like, I just want to trauma bond and dump all over you. Just let me do
it. So she comes back at you with, I've got someone who might be able to help you fix your life.
But I'll tell you what, 2 weeks later, I started thinking about it. And 2 weeks later, this one girl at work, I don't know, she just said something that threw me over the top. She had commented about how I wouldn't fit into the size, the t-shirts that came in for a company barbecue. And I was just like, so offended. And and then I'm like, why is this offending me so much? This shouldn't be offending me so much. And
it's a little offensive.
Yeah, it was a little offensive, but I was like, took it to the next level. Like, sure. I could feel my nervous system kicked in and going, oh my gosh, I'm in like fight or flight mode. Mm-hmm. And so I looked at my friend who had the brother who was the coach, and I asked her for his information. And that's really where this part of Courageous Destiny all started for me, because I never thought I could be any different or live a different life. I didn't think that there was any opportunity for me to do anything other than take care of kids and, work in corporate America until, probably they graduated from high school and moved on, and this was going to be it for me for right now. And I was going to have to really just deal with what I was dealing with. And so I realized, though, in talking to my coach the first time, he had said to me, he listened to me and he listened to me complain. And he really changed my life in that first conversation, because he said, after I complained to him all that time, he goes, what if the people that you love in life the most are the people, how are you going to feel about them being the ones that hold you back? Is that really fair? Because I just didn't think that a mom of triplets really had any choices.
Sure. Well, I think that I get it. I think a lot of people would get that. I think a lot of moms of one baby or maybe two, start to feel that way to some degree, like I'm the food source. I'm the, diaper changer. I'm the, we just become these other beings to care for the young, right?
I also knew that I didn't want them to have the example. Like in that moment, I knew that I didn't want them to have the example of somebody that just kind of like, okay, that's it, And I remember him, after I had done all that complaining, he said the sentence that really changed my life forever, which was, you get in life what your unconscious mind believes you deserve.
That's right.
And what that meant to me in that moment was there was some super secret part of my brain that was convinced it couldn't be any different.
Yeah.
And that I didn't believe I had deserved some of the things that I wanted enough to actually try to change things up a bit.
Kristin, that's really powerful. And I remember talking to you back when you first met this gentleman. And we talked about some of these things about the subconscious. And I had been teaching some of this in the classes that I taught, helping people sort of recreate their lives from addiction or incarceration. And so I had some familiarity with this, but probably what the biggest difference between you and I at that time is that you were learning it and it was new, and I sort of knew it, so I kind of didn't think there was anything that I could learn. And honestly, now I can see that there's so much more that I could learn in terms of application.
It's right? Application. Yes.
Yeah. And that's what you have sort of learned how to do. And I have to some degree now, but back then I just didn't. So tell me about that.
So it was really interesting because I realized I wasn't taking actions on some of the things that I wanted. So one of the things that I really wanted was to feel awake, right? And to have energy and have a healthy body. That was one of the things that I wanted when I started working with my coach.
Okay.
And another thing I wanted was, of course, I wanted to have the career. Like I wanted to somehow enjoy this whole thing, And I like somehow I just want to enjoy this whole thing, so I don't have to spend the next 20 years hating my life. And I didn't want them to have that example either. My kids, like, I just didn't want them to have that example. So he had worked me through a process to uncover some of those things that I believed about myself, about who I was and the way the world worked. And a lot of those decisions that I had about who I was and the way the world worked didn't really line up with somebody who took actions generating the results that I wanted.
What built this subconscious that was self-defeating?
Well, I think that a few things happened. So first of all, I believed a lot when I became a mom. Whatever I believed a mom did and whatever persona a mom would have, I automatically became the day I became a mom. And you don't question it. You just do it. Like somehow I'm supposed to be the mom that comes home with the Toll House cookies smelling in the house, and I'm going to be a PTA mom, and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And I don't know, be the mom that makes all the little cool crafts and things like that. And that wasn't me. That was not me at all. Not me at all.
Especially not 1, 2, 3 version.
No, I was more like the where's the wine? They're sleeping. They're gonna get me, you know. I mean,
oh my God, that's hilarious.
It was just a wild time, and so there was a lot of application that I wanted to do things differently than I was doing them because I wasn't having the results that I wanted. So it helped for me to start to see that, you know, one of the biggest things I can share with you that I was doing was I had accepted that I would be late everywhere that I went because I had triplets. And so we had the triplets in Missouri Senate Lutheran School when they were in pre-K. And we were late over like 100 and some odd times. Like that's probably the amount of school days that there was so far in 3/4 of the way through the school year. So like we were late almost every single day.
At least you were consistent.
Exactly. So, but I remember going in and I would bring them in. Imagine being like your nervous system starting that way every day, like, like every day, you know, there's like this pass off. And then I would get in the car and I'd go to work and then I'd be 5 minutes late to work every day. And then we had the woman at the front desk that's like, oh, hi, nice of you to join us, you know, and then I would go sit down. And I was going through, like, I was always feeling like I was just less than and a big mess up all the time, despite the fact that I was running around with triplets all the time. So I had a lot to apply. And one of the first things that I had to apply was that I show up early. Right. And now I'm like, oh my gosh, how do I show up early? Right. And then I started to understand that there were things that I was creating myself to be as a mom that didn't really line up with the person that wanted the success, right? The healthy body, I wanted to be a great mom. I wanted to be a great employee too, like all of it. I just wanted to do a great job, but I didn't feel that way at all. So unconsciously, I was kind of generating this kind of hot mess scenario.
I was exuding hot mess.
Yes, everywhere I went. And everybody would give it to me. Like, nobody was mad about it. It was like, oh, you have triplets. Oh, you have triplets. Like, we get it.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
Nobody ever even questioned it. And so that's a lot of where I started. And when I started to see something like hot mess or, well, I don't have any discipline and some of those decisions that I had made, I remember my coach going, well, wait a minute, let's take a look at that, shall we? You know? And what I could see were things like, he's like, you don't have any discipline? I'm like, no. He's like, well, are all your kids fed? And I'm like, yeah. He goes, are you fed? I'm like, yeah. He's like, do they have clean clothes when they go to school? I'm like, yeah, they all have clean clothes when they go to school. You know, sometimes they don't have matching socks, but they have clean clothes and, you know, stuff like that. And he's like, so you do have discipline. And he goes, and weren't you the top salesperson? I was the top salesperson for years and years and years in my company. So
but you couldn't see it.
Yeah, I didn't see it. All I saw was hot mess. So I had to learn how to observe my own behavior and then start to question it, going, well, wait, is this just an automatic response? And when I did that, I could start to interrupt certain behaviors that lined up with things like the hot mess. And I could start doing things a little differently. And that's really the very beginning part of my coaching, because in the first 3 months of kind of questioning some of my own belief system and turning some things around, I was able to have way different results. I lost my first 30 pounds. I tripled my sales, and I went, holy, you know what? I have to help people do this because if I can turn around where I was going with triplets and all this other stuff, then why can't I help others do the same thing?
Well, let me just pause you there because this is really, it really is quite a journey. And like I said at the beginning, we've sort of been in and out of each other's lives over the course of time. But one of the beautiful things about when we established our friendship is no matter when we pick up again, it feels pretty natural, right?
Yes.
And I saw from a distance, I'd talk to some of our mutual friends and be like, oh, Kristin is doing this now, or Kristin is doing that. So I know that somewhere between you getting this coach and you becoming the success that you are at the moment, you were forced out of your comfort zone a handful of more times.
Oh, yes.
And I wonder if we could talk about that for a minute. But, you made me think of something with your coach saying, you don't have any discipline. Are you fed? And all that stuff. It's really wonderful to have somebody to be that mirror for you, right?
Yes.
There was a woman who did a lot of this work. I don't remember her. Byron Katie did this work where she would sit with folks and she would do it live on stage. I don't know. Anyway, she would ask people their thoughts about themselves or something. And sorry, Byron, Katie, if I'm butchering this, but after they sort of said what they believed, then she would just sit there and she would say, is that true?
Yes.
And then they would, say something else and she'd say, is that true? And she would just keep asking them to reconsider. And it sounds like what your coach was doing, because this unconscious part of ourselves that likes to drive our lives, we don't see them. We don't know them. We are just driven by them, right? And so we have to stop the process that goes on about the old ideas that we tell ourselves repeatedly. And we have to have somebody say, is that true? You don't have discipline?
Right.
Every time I see you, you have clothes on and your children are fed. What is discipline if it's not that, right? Because we can't see ourselves. It's really powerful.
It really is. And I think of when you want to have something really different in life. So today, people hire me because they want a big giant leap forward from where they're at,
right.
And we don't have the belief system a lot of times that lines up with that.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't created ourselves to believe that we can have those things. So what happens is we're unconsciously self-sabotaging ourselves. Mm-hmm. And usually it just shows up very, very, I'm going to say insidiously, in just not starting.
Yeah.
Just not starting, or putting things on pause. Those kinds of things. And that's how a lot of times we have those different, results, right? We're in that pattern, in that loop.
In the loop. Yeah.
And if we want to break out of the loop, we got to break out of our comfort zone, like you were saying. And that's a lot of what I'm doing today, is helping people to really observe their behavior so they can break out of their current patterns.
Yeah.
And it's hard to do just by picking up a book or a self-help book. To your point, you really do need a mirror in order to be able to see what you're doing or not doing.
Yeah, not just a mirror, but a coach, like what you're saying, has the not only usually experience of having gone through the process, so to speak, but also a skill set that allows you to take a look at the things that are showing up as patterns that the person may not be aware of. So that's really the power of this. What I know from personal experience is that recovery or transformation is not a straight line. It's not from A to B. We want it to be. Boy, do we want it to be.
Oh, yeah.
So I get this coach and he tells me that I am, in fact, disciplined. And then I started my own business and I never drank again. And I am happy and my kids are grown and in college. Is that how it went?
No.
Well, what happened? I thought he gave you the key.
How it actually goes is like this.
Yeah. And for those of you who can't see, she's basically drawing squiggles all over the place with her finger on the camera. Yeah. It's a big mess. Life is a
Mhm.
messy, messy project. So tell us how it did go.
It really, how it did go was once I had those results and I started seeing my own patterns, and then I started to understand how to bust through my patterns. All I wanted to do was help other people bust through their patterns because I had had a lifetime of frustration trying to be healthy, right? Just trying to be a healthier version of myself. And I would go through these ups and downs and all arounds. And a lot of it just had to do with the way I was seeing myself
Yeah.
and the way I was relating to myself. And once I realized I could change that and I could kind of bring my unconscious mind on board with the things in life that I wanted, I had this newfound power
Hmm.
where I was like, oh my gosh, it doesn't have to be this way in the future. I don't have to go through hating my body, or hating my results or beating myself up anymore. I don't have to
Yeah.
do that anymore.
Hmm.
I could really just move forward and keep creating. And if I mess up, just get back on the saddle and keep going. Like there didn't have to be any drama anymore about it.
Well, and that's really interesting because it's almost like our subconscious is, if it were a person, it's in the room with us arguing constantly,
Hmm.
right? Or maybe not arguing, but just being really passive aggressive. And, when I pick up a tool to change my future, it knocks it out of my hand.
Yeah.
Right. But once you get to know your patterns and you can sort of disempower your subconscious, sabotage. What do you say? Saboteur? That
Yeah,
sounds
you're
really
you're a
fancy.
saboteur, or what I
Yeah,
really like to how I like to refer to it as is my ego. Okay.
that's
So
fair. Yeah.
yeah, it's like my ego. My ego is there to help me to survive.
Hmm.
And the way it's programmed is to help me to survive. So my
Hmm.
ego doesn't want me to go out of my comfort zone and, take a leap out of corporate America and start building my own business and become a coach. And it would cease to exist, right? To the way that my ego knows me to be.
Yeah,
So if I never do any unconscious work, I don't have a lot of freedom to be able to recreate my life how I want
that's right. Because when you befriend it, now
it.
you
Hmm.
have, if it were a person, you've got one of your biggest cheerleaders. So there's a lot more that can be accomplished, right? When you're
Exactly.
in alignment with yourself. Yeah.
But if you don't know you can't, you don't know you can train it, then you just believe it,
No, that's right. You're
right? You
absolutely
just believe
right.
it. And that's what I saw. I saw all these people just believing their egos and never really questioning themselves. And then they would get results they didn't want, and they were angry and frustrated and living, feeling, helpless and blah, 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 and, not being happy. So you can go on a courageous destiny and still go up, down, and all around because success isn't linear.
Right.
You can still do that, but you can also be happy and content while you're doing the whole thing. It doesn't have to be, come from a place of anger or frustration or disappointment or guilt or any of those different kinds of emotions. It can actually come from love, excitement. It can come from a sense of adventure. It can come from grace.
Hmm.
And today, that's what I truly love to help people with, is that you just have to start taking actions in that direction and then learn how to train your ego that you can actually have fun doing this whole thing. It doesn't have to be bad.
So, Kristen, what happened for you and what happens for your clients when you start to get to know what you call your ego and you're able to align it with yourself? What shifts that you're able to then enjoy when you supposedly, air quote, fail you're able to sort of perceive that experience differently so that you can continue with your forward momentum. You can actually enjoy the journey very versus poo-pooing it or feeling frustrated or depressed, or you know what I mean?
So I like to change my relationship with my ego. Like, if you know that it is your ego that's stopping you from taking action, and I like to, like, I'll call my ego my little Lulu, right? My inner child, my little Lulu. I'm like,
Okay,
oh,
I
Lulu's
love that.
unhappy today. Oh, she doesn't want to do that thing, right?
Yeah.
Right. And so I have that awareness. And so
Mm.
it's a lot like I just put my ego in the back seat. It can still tell me what direction to go, but I don't have to listen to it like it's the truth,
There you go.
because it doesn't have to be the truth and stop me from taking action. Or, I kind of look at the ego too, like you're on a playground, right? And there's that person on the playground, they're like, hey, let's play over here. Let's play. I'm like, I don't want to. I'm going to go over here.
Right.
I don't have to listen to you. I listened to you last week and it was no fun just sitting in line the whole time.
We didn't do anything cool.
I know.
Oh,
We followed the rules. Ugh. No.
yeah, it's no fun. No fun at all. So tell me about, I don't know if this is okay, but are you able to maybe share one of the client journeys with us in a general way without any identifying anything?
Oh,
Just
of
to show
course.
us kind of the type of things that that manifest in people's lives as a result of doing this work.
Yeah, I would love to share. I can share a couple. So, I love to help people move forward their timelines. So
Okay.
I've worked with many different practitioners, functional medicine doctors, people who, solopreneurs. I love to work with entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, people who don't have a lot of red tape. Like, those are
Break it down, sister.
when there's red tape, I get annoyed. It was like, I was not built for corporate. I was in corporate for so long and I was not built for that. I'm like, let's break the rules.
Oh my God, I'm the same way, girl. I hate it. Yeah, I hate it. Okay,
Oh my
so go
goodness.
ahead.
But I love to, a lot of times people are just building a business and they have a preconceived notion of what the timelines will look like because they think success is linear. But it's not.
Right.
It's not. There is actions that can be taken. You can learn how to do things like love business development and find ways, even if you've never done sales before, or you've never done business development before, there's a way to monetize things in order to create a strong foundation quickly. It doesn't have to take a lot of time.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of us believe, right, that it will take a lot of time, or that all of our ducks have to be in a row before we can even start.
Right.
And they
Right.
don't.
Yeah.
In fact, they're always going to be out of a row. They are never in a row.
Right.
They're just, I always say there's always one a-hole duck.
So now we have little Lulu and a-hole duck. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that.
I love stories.
Me too.
And analogies.
That's the framework of my business or venture or solopreneurity is, that's not a word, but I made it up and I kind of like it, is story, the value of story for connection.
So one of the practitioners that I was coaching, she came on, she was working as an associate, and that doctor, it was a very toxic environment. He had her convinced that it had to go this way. And through our work, she started to see all these different beliefs that she had about the direction it had to go. And when you just put enough of a question mark in front of them, you start to go, well, maybe I could try this instead, or I could try this instead. And she did that. And one day she called me and she's like, I quit. I'm doing this thing. I'm going to create my own practice. And that was on her, I believe it was her 5 or her 10-year plan. And that ended up becoming her 1.5-year plan.
Wow.
And she's doing very, very well for herself now.
Mm-hmm.
I had another client that wanted to, her and her husband had their own company, and they really wanted to be home with their boys. They did have a special needs son. And she's like, I have to make this work. So we have to figure out a way how to navigate, all the things. And what ended up, and she also wanted community and she wanted friendship. And it was really interesting because we'd been working together about 6 months. She went from about $5,000 a month in revenue to $13,000 a month in revenue in 6 months'
That's
time.
significant. Mm-hmm.
Very, very happy family. They're doing really,
Mm-hmm.
really well. And she's no longer lonely, and she has those kinds of friends that are in her
Mm-hmm.
life that are meaningful relationships for her.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the kinds of things that happen. They're just not happening because we don't believe we can bring them in, because we have so many limits placed before us, so many obstacles that we don't even realize.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's really powerful. And I was listening and I sort of wandered into my heart space for the world. And that is, I tend to share stories about folks who have had a really rough go of it, right? Who
Yeah.
maybe have had, really highly traumatized childhoods, or have been in communities without much in the way of options for working economy or whatever, and found themselves incarcerated. And um, and I just think about the multitudes of layers of I don't believe that I can that exist on some of these folks, um, and and how much somebody like you or somebody like me or somebody who is sort of above the fray finally or now can just pour into these people,
Yeah.
and just let them know that they're seen, let them know that they're valuable, and help them to start questioning that broken belief system, right? Because if people can get past the little Lulu inside of themselves,
Yes.
um, but sometimes the little Lulu is buried deeper than others,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And so the work that you're talking about doing, Kristin, is it's really important. I mean, I imagine a good amount of it is to succeed in business, but I think that the same principles and the same work could be used to help people sort of just betray their little Lulu, so that they can start off and be a little more productive in whatever it is that they choose to do. So how do you find people to work with, and what are the kinds of goals that people have as a result of doing this work? You said
So,
freedom. What does that look like?
so a lot of people will hire me because they want to there's a few different avatars that I have. One could be somebody who's in corporate America and they want to transition to their own thing. They've got a passion-based business, they want to bring it into reality. Right? But if their mindset doesn't think like an entrepreneur, or their mindset is stuck in corporate and all the different rules and
Mm-hmm.
regulations and the corporate speaking and all of those different kinds of things, then we have a trajectory that we have to hit, and
Yeah.
they've got like that operating system,
Right.
right? A good thing that I can help them with is to transition over to their own thing, into their own passion-based businesses. I've helped artists go
Yeah.
from, like think of an artist, right? Oh, well, I got to be broke, right? I'm a broke artist.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I helped one who was couch surfing get into six figures. So, you know, it's,
It's a
it
mindset.
doesn't, yeah, it's in your mindset. It doesn't matter what you want. You can grow for it if you're
Yeah.
willing to take a look at those things. And they don't feel that great to take a look at. They don't feel good to look at some of these things because we're like built to judge things in our mind. And sometimes it makes us feel crazy because we're looking at past versions of ourselves that created these decisions, like when we were 8. So now you're
Oh,
looking at,
wow.
you're looking at like one of my big decisions, and I'll never forget this because it'll tie into what you had just shared. One of my decisions about who I was and the way the world worked was that I'm a bad girl. Well, I was a bad girl because I ate a penny. I ate a penny, and then my mom had to dig through my excrement in order to be able to take it out. Right? Yep. And then she had to clean it off, and she made it into a craft and hung it on my wall in childhood. And so, but I remember
The excrement or the penny?
the penny. She
Good
cleaned it
God.
off. She sterilized it. But still, you knew where that penny was, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And so it was like reinforced. I'm a bad girl. Well, I went to a seminar, and there was this woman that I met, and she wasn't there necessarily. She was there to, for different reasons than I was. I use a lot of the tools that I use is to help people build success in their life, but certainly it can be used for therapy as well, and other, other modalities. And she had the decision that she was a bad girl. Only hers came from molestation. And so here we were, and it was really interesting because as we were talking, it was impacting her in the same way it was impacting me. Only mine came from a penny and hers came from something a lot more serious. And I've got to believe, she might have had a deeper trauma response to that, of course, right? And there's different things that she needed to get through. But that was one of the decisions that I made was I had to do this work because it didn't matter. That decision kept us from taking the same actions. Once she noticed that it was a decision, then she has choice.
Right.
Once I noticed that it was decision, I'm like, that's the most ridiculous thing in the world. I'm a mom of triplets. I've never really been in trouble with the law except for public urination when I was in college.
That a girl. Yeah, well done. I mean, if you're going to have something on your record, that's the one to do. That's good. Yeah. I like that. Yeah. Makes you very relatable, Kristin.
I know. That's like my big thing,
Yeah.
That's when I got in trouble with the law.
That's
awesome.
I
mean, it's like, that was the bacon bits from Southern Illinois. But I'm like,
we'll do another episode on that, everyone.
Yes. Let's change the world.
Yeah, probably not. But anyway, go ahead.
But it just was really, it was a real eye opener to me that, people really can have similar decisions that stop them. And the programming is the same and the impact can be the same. And it was so incredible to me that once I found this work, I could not stop.
Yeah.
I heard it everywhere. I heard what stopped people everywhere.
Yep.
I have to deliver, sometimes I have to deliver what I call like the snowball between the eyes because, it wakes people up when we can see some of these things. But you can see how if you have that belief system and then if you change your belief, all of the sudden you could see where it would impact your results. Like when I became a good girl, I didn't have to have all this anxiety about doing the wrong things anymore. Do you know how much that freed me up and how much freer I became? That's where the freedom comes in.
What about victim language? Did you have any victim language to overcome? Do you know what I mean by that?
Ton, yes.
Yeah. Can you give me an example? Are you willing to go there?
Yeah, I can go there.
Okay.
I can go there. So
because I think that is some of the most profoundly ingrained, subconscious stuff that folks battle and don't even know it's there.
They have no idea.
Yeah.
I remember years ago, one of my ways of getting out of things. Like one of the ways little Lulu got out of things is she sat on a pity pot and she got sad. And when she got sad, she didn't have to do anything and she could go out and eat pizza and drink wine and do the things that would make her feel better because she was sad.
Yeah.
And that was a big part of my personal, was my pity pot, and realizing when I'm sitting on my pity pot, I wasn't ever getting anything done. But yet with a flip of a switch, a shift in perspective, I could be off my pity pot like that. And
So I think, go ahead.
When I think of victim language, right, I think of my pity pot for me personally. I did a program years ago called Courageous Destiny Rebirth. You get to choose victim or victor.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I did a lot of work to go, when am I a victim? When am I powerless? When is it out of my control? And how can I take back my power? How can I shift my perspective? Can I hit an override button that I create in my mind? And sometimes I actually do this. Override.
Yeah, for those of you who can't see, she's literally got her hand in the air and she's like dropping it on a big button. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like at a game show, like the buzzer,
Yes.
Okay, so that's her override button. Go ahead.
So I had to get to know when I was powerless.
Okay.
Victim language to me is like, I can't do it. It can never be anyway. Woe is me. I have to do this, this, and this before I can get that. And this, and this is going to be so terrible. There's no way. Sometimes victim language comes from real trauma. Of course it does. But even then, right, our inner victim is never going to get the kinds of things that we want. But we somehow want to, there's a lot of what I see out there in the world is there is an opportunity to shift perspectives and look at things different. And I like to really create myself today as the hero in my story. Like,
yeah. Tell me
like
more.
like I'm the hero in my story, and today I get to give myself credit for things. So there's lots of ways to get past our victim. And I don't know how long we have on the podcast, but
yeah, right. I mean, I was thinking too, like, sometimes as women, we think, well, that's not available to me, like it or not, my voice at the table. Maybe I get to say what I think, but it's really, really considered. So I don't have enough money, or I don't have enough clout, or my parents were not around, or I didn't get what all the stuff. I think it takes a lot of work to get over that, but my God, if you can stand on its shoulders instead of beneath its feet,
exactly,
you can become a whole different person.
A big part of what I coach is to observe it. Observe it. You can acknowledge it. Doesn't mean that you have to get down with it. Right?
Like anger or like a feeling or something? How do you mean?
So like if today I'm feeling powerless about something and I don't think I can do something, I can go, that is the most fascinating thing in the world. That is so interesting. Why do I think I can't do that? And then usually when I start picking it apart, then I'm like, oh, well, why don't I just try this instead? And now I'm off to the races running again.
Sure.
Versus sitting there staring at something that I can't have, getting resentful, getting angry.
Yeah. Well, I think negativity is a deconstructor, and positivity is, a pathway to life. It just is. I had a guest on the other day. I haven't put his episode out yet, but he's also very much into some of what you're talking about, Kristin, about the just like strengthening the mind, right, and overcoming the parts of mind that sort of defeat you. And he was talking about some of the self-talk that he has created for himself, right? And I used it the other day. So he said sometimes when he's not feeling it or he doesn't want to do something, whatever, he'll ask himself, what would an average person do here? What would the average Joe do here? And they would probably stop. He said, so that will keep me going, right?
Yeah.
And I was on my bicycle the other day, and I haven't been riding my bike or doing much of anything. So I'm noticing a difference in my ability to take long rides. And there's this part by my house where it starts to go on an incline, and I saw it coming, and I was like, oh, Lord. I'm like, I can do it, because I wanted to come down the other side, right? Come down and just do that breeze in my hair. I got to the incline, girl, and I was just like, I'm done. I can't do it. I'm not going to make it up there. And then I heard him, and I said, what would an average person do here if they were feeling taxed out? And I said, they would stop. So I went up that little hill. It sucked. I'm not going to lie. It was horrible. But I got to the next site, and then I got to enjoy some of that going down. But it really is, that's sort of the override button that you're talking about, right?
That's like exactly it.
Yeah. What mechanisms can we put in place to sort of let the old voice, be in the room, because it's not going anywhere. It's trapped in my skin with me. But what can we do to sort of be the parent in the situation? Like you said, driving in the front seat while it's in the back seat, making its little noise and chaos.
Mm-hmm. And I think that for what I do, right, clarity on where you want to go, like the results you want to create, what are the actions that create those results?
Yeah.
Okay. And once because I always say I'm daring somebody to live their courageous destiny, which means to design what it is, align action, and then rewire.
Right.
If you're not taking those actions, there's an opportunity to rewire. When you do, and you get your unconscious mind on board, now actions can become natural and intuitive versus full of resistance and all those things that stop us a lot of the time from taking action and then to expand. And so when I look at that, if I'm not clear on where I'm going, then I don't know what the actions are that I'm supposed to be taking. Once I know what the actions are that I'm supposed to be taking, now I can hit the override button. Now I can hit it. But if I don't know where I'm going and what I'm doing,
sure,
and I don't have that consciousness, right, then I don't know to hit the override button, and I don't know that I can shift my perspective and keep going.
So a huge piece of this is awareness of the way that the human being is built and the way that our minds work, the operating system, and that it's really very, very challenging, if not impossible, to sort of rewire, unwire, reconstruct by ourselves. Because I don't know if you've ever heard of Johari's window, but it's this neat idea that, I can't see me. I can see other things, but I need somebody else to see me. And so people like you or people like us in our different worlds, trying to pour into people, trying to help people find themselves to be the best that they can be. The work you're doing is so important. And I've watched your journey, and I've watched your growth, and I've watched your mindset create courage for you in places in your life that I think would have had a lot of people get sad, find pizza, and drink wine, which I'm not saying is bad, right? People, it's okay to drink wine and have pizza. Those are good things. But I mean, as you said, as a default, right? Like, I'm not feeling good about myself, so let me drown it in things that are not the solution to my problem.
Let me escape. And I was a big escape artist.
Yeah.
When we have our sobriety journeys are, of course they look different, but, for me, once I realized that I was using wine as a crutch, that was different and it wasn't a very good one.
Yeah, well,
then I could transform it and be willing to. But there was a lot of stuff I talk about, having decisions about not being able to live without that there was a lot of decisions.
Now that truly is another show we could do. Say that again. Sorry. What did you say?
I said there was a lot of decisions that were automatic between me and living a sober life. And yet it was possible. I just remember going out there to find out that I was an alcoholic. Like, I remember that. I went out to Barrington. There was all of these beautiful cars in the parking lot. There's a lot of beautiful cars. And those people were the most real people I've ever met. And I was actually really grateful to be home. Like, that's the first time I really felt like I was home with people, because I didn't feel like they were fake or phony.
These were people in a recovery meeting?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I see. Yeah, because the pretense is gone.
Yeah. And they were like one guy is like, yeah, I remember living out of my car.
Yeah.
You know, and then the car that he got into, you know, the people who really work it, the people who are willing to take a look at the warts of themselves, you know?
Yeah, no, really.
The bad bits just, and then love the bad bits just as much as you love the good bits. Like, you don't have to not love yourself.
Love the bad bits as much as you love the good bits. I love that, Kristin.
Yeah. Well, and that's how you get to really be authentic.
Yeah.
You can't pick and choose who you are, you know?
But we all do, right? One of the most common things, I think, across humanity is that we develop some sort of chameleon, right? Where we sort of become what the space needs us to be in that space. And I think a real victory is when we learn to become the same me in all the places. Supposing that we are in various kinds of environments, right? Like, sometimes we build an echo chamber around ourselves. And so the person that we are doesn't have to change because everybody around me agrees with me, right? Yeah. But I think the real challenge is to figure out who I am in a world of different environments and continue to be her. That's the hard part, right?
Yeah.
That's the hard part.
And not force it. Like, just be her.
Right. Yeah. And it's scary and it's vulnerable, man. And it's like, you know, you really got to heal those, would you say the ugly bits, did you say?
The bad bits.
The bad bits. Yeah, you got to
and you have to learn how to brace them, just like you do the good bits. Because if you don't, then you're just living a version of yourself. You're manipulating yourself.
God, I'm so manipulative.
I'm so manipulative of myself. Right?
That's so free. But you know what? That's not uncommon, right?
No.
It's crazy.
So I've been doing a lot of digging into my inner people pleaser this year. Really a lot of digging, because that's how I hide from people. Is I'm like, oh, well, what can I do for you? Right? How can I make you feel better about yourself? How can I get you to like me? Right? You know?
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
And it's been really confronting, because I've run into a lot of places where I felt plastic, like I felt fake in certain situations, or like I became like I'm performing like a show pony.
Yeah.
And it's one of the reasons, like, I'm a keynote speaker and I do speaking engagements, but I hate having any kind of PowerPoint.
Yeah.
As if I do, I won't dig deep and connect with the audience anymore.
Right.
You know, and and that's scary to do.
No, it is. It is. But I would say I actually went through that when I was teaching. And what I ended up learning is more or less scriptless is how I connect. Yeah. But the PowerPoint can serve in terms of having visuals for folks and maybe bullet points of the main stuff that we're talking about. But I can't be held to a script like that. I'll start with it, but I'm going to go off. Yeah. I'm going to go where the room leads me.
Yeah, I'm going to look in the eyes of somebody and go, this isn't the conversation they need.
That's right. Yep, that's right. That's exactly right.
Like our heart, like I think that a lot of times people are trying to figure out with their head the job of their heart
Yeah.
all the time.
See, girl, come on now, shine. Shine,
Yeah.
Miss Crockett. Yeah.
Woohoo!
Yeah, that's awesome. And that truly is another show we could do, talking about the
Yeah.
different journeys to sobriety.
Oh, for sure.
Listen, we're about at time. I've loved this conversation, and I just love to watch you shine. The people who are going to listen to this won't be able to see you shining, but I will put video clips online so people can see you shine. Um, what else would you say? What else do you want people to know just about anything? Now's your time. Go.
I want people to know that they can grow for it.
Come on.
And that's
Ooh, grow
a
for
wild
it.
journey. I would love to see people open up their mind about what's possible in their life. Like just because your life has been the way it's been doesn't mean you can't completely transform it into something else if you're not happy. And isn't that the point of why we're here, to evolve? So don't stay stuck just because of a word like stuck. Like, do you know how many people are like, well, I'm stuck? And I'm like, well, no, you're not really, but I get that your mind's saying that.
Yeah.
And we can really create and generate the kind of life that we want. So dare to dream.
Dare to dream, sister. I so appreciate you, and so happy for you, for your success and for your journey, and for learning that outside of the comfort zone lie all the blessings, right? Truly, truly. Yeah. All right. Well, your website will be, a link to her website will be in the show notes, Courageous Destiny. And this is Kristin Crockett, and I'm thrilled to have you as a friend and to have you as a colleague in the world of growing and helping others grow. And, I just might want to have you back again for another talk.
I would love to.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Awesome. Well, we'll talk soon. And thank you so much for your time.
My honor. My honor.
If this conversation sparked something for you, or if you want to dive deeper, head over to soulnotskin.com and take a look around. Grab a copy of the book, Soul Not Skin, free resources, or get on the wait list for our next workshop. I hope you'll pull up a chair next time to hang out with us again. We're figuring out this world and ourselves at the same exact time, growing as we listen to the stories of others. Let's keep getting to know each other. After all, we are in this together. See you next time.